Today I am going to propose 5 trades between AEW and WWE. I try to make trades that I felt were fair to all involved. So trades that I felt benefit both promotions as well as benefit the wrestlers involved in those trades. And I think I came up with some interesting ones. So let's just get right into it. I came up with 5. Let's start with our first one, and it is a pretty big one. Trade number 1 is going to be AEW sending Kyle Fletcher and Sky Blue to the WWE. Kyle Fletcher is a main event level guy in AEW and has the potential to be a main event level guy in the WWE. Just the amount of muscle mass he has put on in his time in AEW shows how serious he is taking this in becoming a big, massive superstar, and his in-ring work is already great. But again, if you look back at pictures of Kyle Fletcher from when he first started in AEW to now, it is pretty insane to look at. Obviously, as it has gone on, you've seen how he's progressed, but when you see the drastic change of from when he first started to now, the guy has probably put on like 40 pounds of muscles. It's pretty insane to see, and he's already good in the ring. I think he can be certainly a main event level guy in WWE. So it is going to take a lot for AEW to trade him. So they will need to get quite a bit in return. And then Sky Blue, we're going to include her in this package as well. We love. So let's keep Sky Blue and Kyle Fletcher together. Plus, she looks amazing and has the potential to be a star as well. So that's who AEW will be giving up, Kyle Fletcher and Sky Blue, and it's going to take a lot to get them. So first, in return, AEW will receive Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Again, keeping couples together, I wanted to do that. What WWE is doing with Johnny Gargano currently is honestly embarrassing. He was one of my favorite pro wrestlers during the Black and Gold NXT days, and to see where he's come to now, it's just sad. I knew he would struggle on the main roster just based on his size, but this whole laying down gimmick, it's a complete new low, and he just needs to get out of there. So Johnny Gargano will be the first piece in this trade, and then Candice LeRae. She was never really used prominently in NXT or on the main roster, but she can go in the ring, and AEW would give her that opportunity to actually wrestle and get some matches on television, which would be great for her, and I think would be nice for the fans to see her wrestle more as well. And as far as Johnny Gargano goes, you reunite him with Tommaso Ciampa. You allow him to have matches with guys he probably hasn't wrestled with in the past decade or so. And then Candice LeRae just gets on television and has some wrestling as well. Gargano and Candice LeRae alone are not enough to acquire Kyle Fletcher and Sky Blue. So WWE will have to send more than just that. And they are going to send 2 more pieces. The first piece being Shinsuke Nakamura. And I gotta be honest, I never got Nakamura. I think the entrance is amazing. I think his presentation at times has been great. I really like him being the heel, cutting promos in Japanese with the subtitles, having the mist. I like all of that stuff, and that presentation of him. Certainly prefer him better as the heel version of Nakamura. But when it comes into the ring, I just don't get it at all. When he first signed with NXT back in, I think probably like 2014, 2015-ish maybe, I heard the hype behind him, so I decided to go and watch some. It might have been like 2016, 2017 actually. Not sure on the date, but when I heard he was signing and heard the hype behind him, I went and watched some of his New Japan matches, and that didn't do it for me either. And his WWE run in the ring certainly has not anything for me as well. I personally, Nakamura, I've not been impressed with him, but plenty have. He has a large following, and I think he would benefit from going to AEW, where they would use him more prominently, higher up on the card. He's barely on TV as is, and he would definitely get on TV in AEW. So I think it would benefit him, and it also benefits AEW as they get this new main event level guy on their roster. So Shinsuke Nakamura is the third piece of this trade, and the final piece of it is going to be probably the person I want in AEW the most, and that is Ilya Dragunov. I absolutely love Ilya Dragunov, and I just want him on television and wrestling, and WWE is not allowing him to do either. I do know recently, probably about a month or so ago, there were rumors that WWE kind of use him as this interchangeable mid-carder, and I think that's a shame. I certainly don't see him as like a WWE main eventer, at least not consistently. But to call him interchangeable as a mid carder, I just don't see that. I think he's one of the least interchangeable mid carders there is. I think he has such fire and intensity. His matches are one of the more violent matches in pro wrestling, and he does so without using any weapons. I just absolutely love his matches. They feel like fights, they feel intense, they feel violent, and I just want to see him on television, and I think AEW would allow him to have 20-minute matches. And that's something that every time I've seen him in long matches, I just always want more. So Ilya Dragunov, I really want in AEW because I think they will treat him much better as a performer, and that's something I want to see. So trade number one has AEW trading Kyle Fletcher and Sky Blue to the WWE in exchange for Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Ilya Dragunov. Again, Kyle Fletcher, in my opinion, is the biggest piece of this trade. He's the most main event level guy out of everyone involved. So WWE had to give up a lot, and in return, AEW gets Gargano, Nakamura, and Ilya Dragunov, who can all kind of hover around the main event scene in AEW, and then Candice LeRae, adding her to the women's division as well. So that's trade number one. Trade number two is less of a blockbuster trade. I have a couple here that are just middle of the line trades. I didn't want to make every single one blockbuster, sending main eventers everywhere. So the next two are kind of more mid-level trades. And the first of these two is going to be AEW sending Buddy Matthews back to the WWE in exchange for War Machine, or the Viking Raiders, the War Raiders, whatever they're called at the time. Them two, Eric and Ivar, for Buddy Matthews coming back to the WWE. I think Buddy looks amazing, and he's solid in the ring. I do think he definitely fits the WWE system better than the AEW system. He's not going to be one of, and I don't really want to call AEW system, but he's not one of the guys who is going to have those 30, 40-minute matches. He looks the part of a pro wrestler. He looks like he can beat people up, and he is solid in the ring. So I would like to see him back in WWE, getting another chance there, seeing if they can do anything with him. Plus, it also reunites him and Rhea Ripley, so that would make both of them happy as well. And in return, AEW would receive War Machine. I remember the first time I saw War Machine, it was on the 2017 Dominion card, I believe, where they faced Guerrillas of Destiny. And I immediately thought that, like, who is this tag? I didn't know of them at the time. I think I was watching that card because Omega and Okada, one of their matches, I believe, was on that. So I watched this one live. And when I saw War Machine, I was like, who is this tag team? This is a tag team I want to see more of. And then shortly after that, they did end up signing with WWE. Unfortunately, they changed their names, and they haven't been treated very seriously in WWE. But I think them as a tag team is a great combination. I think they can both move in the ring for big guys. I think they have a unique look for a tag team in the modern day. And I just want to see them be treated seriously and get some television time to actually wrestle. And I think I don't want to say they're unfixable in WWE, but the way they've just been treated for so long, I don't really think you can kind of like elevate them as a main event level tag team and for them to be taken seriously in WWE, at least probably not for me. So I would like to see them in AEW, kind of get that refresher and add them to their tag division. So trade two is AEW sending Buddy Matthews back to the WWE in exchange for War Machine. Trade number three is going to be another one that isn't blockbuster, but I think both of these individuals would benefit greatly from being in the other promotion. AEW will be sending Britt Baker to the WWE in exchange for Julia. Britt Baker hasn't been on TV in what feels like years. I don't know the exact time frame it was, but it feels like she hasn't been on TV in forever. Maybe she had an appearance and then went away for another year or whatever, but it feels so long since she's been on TV. And I personally think she fits WWE better than she does AEW. I think the opposite can be said for Julia. I think Britt Baker, she's not the best in the ring. I think she has solid promo for a women's wrestler, and I think a kind of new scene for her would be great, especially like I said, she's just not even being used. I don't even know what's going on with that situation. Um, don't know if she's happy, don't know if she's unhappy, but I think she would fit WWE better. And then as far as Julia goes, I gotta be honest, I haven't seen much of Julia outside of WWE, but I heard about her when she was coming in, and then just the way people are reacting to how WWE is kind of limiting her, kind of not utilizing her to what she should be. I think she would benefit from being in AEW and having those wrestling matches where she can kind of showcase her styles and stuff that I personally have yet to see. So not the biggest trade, but Britt Baker to WWE for AEW getting Julia. Again, like I said, I think both would benefit from being in the other promotion. So that is trade number 3. Trade number 4 is a bigger one than the last two. And WWE will be sending Finn Balor to AEW in exchange for the Guns and Wardlow. So Austin and Colton Gunn and Wardlow for Finn Balor. Finn is far and away the bigger star and the more established wrestler here than either of the 3 AEW are giving up. But who knows really how long he has left. I do believe he's like 44, 45-ish, somewhere around there. He's probably close to his mid-40s. So who knows how much he actually has left. Whereas WWE in return will be getting 3 guys who have a future. The Guns, I think, are a better fit in WWE. I see them more as this charismatic tag team rather than an in-ring tag team. And I, not to say they're bad in the ring, but I think they're more of we're a tag team that's going to get over based on our charisma. And I also think the value of the Gun name means much more to the WWE audience than it does the AEW audience. So I think the Guns would benefit from being in WWE. And then Wardlow, he will kind of be more of a project for WWE to kind of see if they can create this main event level guy or upper card guy. AEW has had some success, but then it kind of halted. So I would like to see AEW give Wardlow up because I think Wardlow certainly fits WWE much better than he does AEW. He's not going to be one of the guys who's heralded for his in-ring work. But WWE might be able to get something out of him. And then in return, AEW gets Finn Balor, who certainly will be main event level immediately the moment he steps in there. And I think he would benefit them as well. So trade number 4, Finn Balor for the Guns and Wardlow. Again, AEW getting a main event guy, WWE getting 3 guys who they can kind of build around or use as pieces to build around for the future. And now we move to our final trade. Our final trade is the biggest one of them all. And let's just get right into it. AEW will be sending MJF to the WWE. MJF is AEW's main event. MJF is their past. MJF is their present. MJF is their future. But I would love to see him in WWE. If it does never happen, I would be fine with that as well. But me personally, I want to see him in WWE. I do know he has mentioned in interviews in the past that he takes pride in his opinion, being the biggest pro wrestling star there's ever been to never wrestle in WWE. So I do think there is a chance that it may never happen. But me, selfishly, I would love to see him in WWE, mix it up with some of their main event level guys. So I'm trading Big Hebrew to the WWE, and in return, AEW will need to receive a lot. And they will be receiving Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Bayley, and Big E. Sami Zayn just became WWE champion, and that certainly will be the peak of his WWE career. He's won, I think, every title there is to win in WWE. He's main evented a WrestleMania. He stole the show during Bloodline segments so many times. He's been at or near the main event scene in WWE for like 5+ years now. And I think he has peaked in the WWE. I certainly don't think he's going to be a multi-time WWE champion, but I do believe he can be so in AEW. I do believe he is immediately a day one main eventer the moment he steps foot there. And I think he is probably even more a solidified main eventer in AEW than he is in WWE. Again, I don't think after this title reign ends, I don't think he'll be champion ever again. So it was nice for him to get that, and there's not much left for him to do in WWE. So why not send him to AEW? Give him some fresh matches there. Give them a big star as well. And then the second piece of the trade is Kevin Owens. And all of the stuff I just said about Sami Zayn can be said about Kevin Owens. Both of them have probably peaked in WWE, and both of them have won pretty much every title there is to win, and they could probably both be doing big things in AEW that would freshen up their careers. Who knows if Kevin Owens ever does wrestle again, but if he does, seeing him in AEW would definitely be fun, and it would give me a reason to want to tune in live, because I typically watch AEW, unless it's a pay-per-view, I typically watch AEW on a tape delay. But if I knew Kevin Owens was coming into AEW, I would be watching live for that event. So Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens to AEW. And then we are also going to include Bayley. Bayley has been involved in pretty much everything she can be in WWE. She's won pretty much every title there is in WWE. She's currently not been in the Women's World Championship scene for quite a while, it seems. So you may say she's being underutilized, but she's certainly one of their more established women's stars. So I think if you send her to AEW, you are sending a big women's star to AEW who would be real beneficial to them. It reunites her and Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. I'm sure they would love to wrestle each other again. I'm sure they would like to tag again. I'm sure they would just like to be around each other again. And it's also given AEW a woman who can be a, for lack of a better term, be a role model to that women's division. Every time you see Bayley on social media, no pro wrestler has anything bad to say about Bayley. She's always giving back to pro wrestlers. She's always helping in any way she can. And I think someone like that in the AEW locker room would be great for them to have. And again, it legitimizes their women's division even more. You add a main event level women's wrestler, and you add all these fresh matchups because Bayley has not faced many people in that women's division. So give me Bayley in AEW as well. And then I was originally going to stop there with Sami, Kevin, and Bayley, but me personally, I still don't think that is quite enough for MJF. So I'm also going to throw Big E in there. I'm throwing him in there as a manager. New Day will be arriving in AEW in the very near future. So why not give them Big E as well to be a mouthpiece and to just bring the whole band back together again. Big E as a manager in AEW. So that's who I have for MJF. WWE will receive MJF, and they will be trading Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who are two main event level guys for AEW, as well as Bayley, who is a main event level woman for AEW, and as well as Big E, who will be the manager of the New Day for when they do come in probably in the next few weeks. So that's it. I still personally think I would rather have the MJF side of this trade, but I tried to make it as even as I could. I don't really know how even you can make things for trading away one of the younger main eventers in professional wrestling today, one of the best people on the mic in pro wrestling today, and he is amazing in the ring as well. He's one of the most complete pro wrestlers there is. But for me, in this trade, I just wanted to get him to WWE, and I knew it would take a lot to get AEW to give him up. And again, like I said, me personally, I still would rather have the MJF side of this trade. But that's what I came up with, those 4 people for MJF. And yeah, those are my 5 trades. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what trade sucks, what trade's great, who got the best of what. Let's run it down real quick. First trade is Kyle Fletcher and Sky Blue going to the WWE for Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Ilya Dragunov. Trade number 2 is AEW trading Buddy Matthews back to the WWE in exchange for War Machine. Trade number 3 is AEW sending Britt Baker to the WWE for Julia. Trade number 4 is AEW sending the Guns and Wardlow to the WWE for Finn Balor. And then the final trade is AEW sending MJF to the WWE for Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Bayley, and Big E. Those are my 5 trade proposals for AEW and WWE. Let me know what you think. Let me know who got the best of it, and I will see you in the next one.